Attention prayer. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum. Dear brothers and sisters, we thank you, and we are going to begin as we should. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we give him all praise and thanks, for certainly he is the Lord of the worlds. We thank him for all of his prophets and messengers and those that he has raised and sent into the world, that he may give us guidance through his servants to a people and a world that may have gone astray. And of course, those of us that are Muslims that have been raised up in the tradition of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we can never thank Allah enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi, who searched among us and worked among us and found that one worthy from among us, that a whole nation would be born. We speak of none other than the exalted Christ, our messenger Messiah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And of course, where would we be if they did not extend to us grace and mercy personified in the one that they prepared for us to lead, teach, and guide us today? We speak of none other than our beloved minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and it is in their names I greet all of my brothers and sisters in the original language of our fathers, the Arabic language, As-salaam alaikum. And all brothers and sisters, we are truly just right on the edge of welcoming in the holy month of Ramadan. And so on behalf of our student national imam, Sultan Rahman Muhammad, who is with us tonight, and all of the staff of the imam's office, we thank you once again for taking out of your time to tune into these sessions that are designed to help us all have a blessed and fruitful Ramadan. We thank all of those that came on with us last week, and once again, we saw through the registration numbers a great hunger and a great thirst. And of course, with the attendance last week, we saw that there are so many that desire to learn, but also strengthen themselves in this cycle of Ramadan versus previous ones that we have come through. And I know last week we covered a lot of territory, and we're looking forward to tonight to sharing more. But before we bring Brother Imam on, and I want to just make sure that his controls are okay, and he'll come on camera when he's ready, I wanted to cover something that is very important that came to mind. And I see our Brother Imam is with us. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Imam.
Wa alaikum salam.
All
Can you hear me
praises.
fine?
Yes, sir. We can hear
Okay.
you fine.
Praise be to Allah.
I wanted to cover something in terms of the view on Ramadan. And I want to allow, I think, the chat.
Let me see.
Sister Joy, if you could you go in and make sure that the chat settings are okay for everyone to be able to use? Okay, the chat is open. Believers, try to use the chat. Put some ones in the chat if you okay, there we go. We want to make sure the believers is in the room with us. Also, we have our brother, student minister Abdul Aleem Ansari Muhammad with us from Houston, Texas. Also a member of the IMAM staff as well. And so I wanted to cover something tonight, if I could, concerning a view on Ramadan and putting us in the right frame of mind to that, and with that, Allah has commanded us and called us and is calling us to do. To even enter the holy month of Ramadan is a blessing. But in our daily lives and also the culture that we live in America, sometimes it can appear that maybe Ramadan is in the way of what I had planned. And if any of us feel like Ramadan is interrupting what we had planned or interrupting things that we desire to do, I'm asking you to open up your ears and open up your hearts tonight to know that is not the frame of mind that we should have. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been guiding and teaching us that in this quest of Ramadan, it is not an option. It is a must when we understand the virtues of it. But because we live in a Western civilization in their calendar system and follow their calendar system, a lot of times we plan according to the solar calendar months and doesn't realize that our lunar months of Islam ride over top of them, for they are really above the solar or Gregorian calendar that we've been given. So we may naturally plan things and don't have Ramadan in our thoughts because maybe we're looking at March or April. But I've been hearing some say, oh man, Ramadan is almost here. Wow, like it's a burden. And if we think that Ramadan is a burden and it's getting in the way of something that we had planned, then we miss the real benefit of what this month affords every believer like no other time in the year. So we can't say enough that to be able to see Ramadan in a day or two, inshallah, that we are being invited into the month of mercy, the month of forgiveness, the month from freedom of the fires of our passion that may have gotten the best of us up until this point, but Allah is affording us a golden opportunity once again to wipe our slates clean and recommit ourselves to the very thing that Master Fard Muhammad came to America to establish, and that is a nation. Dear Muslims, we in the month of Ramadan should go out even more to help save our people, resurrect our people. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we are in a proper mode of worship of Allah and not practicing the hunger or the thirst games or prohibitions that Allah puts on us for a reason and miss the spiritual cleansing that he gave it to us for in the first place. If there are those in the chat with us tonight that have benefited from previous Ramadans as you have been evolving in this journey, how many of us saw a better person at the end of the fast? How many of us began to see the beauty of Allah coming through us as we focused on worship of him, focused on doing acts of kindness or the neighborly needs? How many of us saw that we were of better spirit and heart and capacity to help our people who are less fortunate? How many of us just felt better and have never felt like that before? Well, it looks, if it be the will of Allah, we'll be entering in once again. And when we do, it's off to the races. But I want us to learn the importance of pacing ourselves as we prepare to hear from our Imam tonight, because there are some things we want to go over tonight. Because what is our connection to the Quran, the Holy Quran? Because we hear every Ramadan, we should read a part of it each night. Each night. What is our connection with the Holy Quran? And also, what is our connection with the man to whom the Quran was revealed, Prophet Muhammad, peace and prayers be upon him. We're going to talk about these things tonight. Also, what is the importance of the night of majesty, the night of divine decree, the night of power, Laylatul Qadr? What is this? And why is this considered the best month and contained in it the best night? And we'll have at least 4 cycles of the best day, which is Yawm al-Jum'ah, that is year round, but magnified in the month of Ramadan. And why must we take this month as a personal month in order to rededicate ourselves back to the mission of helping save our people and getting ready to have our impact on humanity? So I'm thankful to Allah to have this opportunity to serve as a part of a great team in this. We are Ramadan ready. We're getting in Ramadan mode. You heard me say last week, we're trying to get away from beast mode and get into God mode. So I thank you. And as we prepare to hear from our Imam, he'll let us know when he's ready. But I wanted to talk about a very important part in what we mentioned earlier. Ramadan has in it 3 stages. In our first 10 days, we will have the arms or the hands or the gates of mercy from Allah Most High open to us and magnify. In the second 10, we will have forgiveness like no other time in the year. I asked you last week, which ones of us don't need mercy right now as we're talking and listening, or forgiveness? But in the month of Ramadan, Allah can't wait to see our hearts open to him and repenting to him so that he can give us the thing that he knows we are in divine need of. And in that final 10, Najat is the Arabic word, right? This is talking about freedom from the fire, freedom from passions, because as we begin to gain and go through this climb and really get in rhythm, before you know it, it's like those that run track. It's turning that final corner, if you will. And when you turn that final corner, if I got some track runners on here, you know, whatever you've done up until that point, when you make that final turn, dear family, you got to turn on all this, the force, all the power. You got to turn it all the way up, because guess what's getting ready to happen? Those fires and passions that we were just getting over and getting control of, Satan and his devils is waiting at the ending point to tell you, Ramadan is over. You can go back to being that Negro again. You can go back in the garbage, and you threw all of those things away. You can go back to the garbage can, put them back on, put all that sin back on, because Ramadan is over. No, we tighten up when we turn that corner, and we finish as strong as we can, so that when we're released from the fast, dear family, we'll see the benefits and take those habits that we gained in our worship, right? Take those habits that we've gained in serving and take the spirit of Ramadan as far as we can. You know what attention you should have? Try to hold on to it until the next Ramadan, inshallah. That should be our spirit. That should be our call. I thank you for these moments. And now it gives me great honor to turn you into the hands of our student national Imam, Imam Sultan Rahman Muhammad, to take us into session number 2 of Ramadan Readiness. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Praise be to Allah. Let us see some hand claps for our brother, student Imam, Abdul Salam Muhammad. Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, beautiful words and exhortation, encouragement for the believers to enter this holy month with the spirit of renewal. Praise be to Allah. We begin, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. These are our original words from our original language of Arabic and English, and they mean that we, A'udhu billah, that we seek refuge with Allah, mina shaitan, from Satan, ar-rajim, the accursed. And we say, Bismillah, Bismillah, Rahman Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. And we give the testimony of faith, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, that we bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And we bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. And brothers and sisters, we shout from the mountaintop that we thank Allah for his divine intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi, that we thank Allah for he who raised him through that divine power in raising the honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank Allah for these men. We thank Allah for these men because they gave spiritual birth to yet another man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is a time, brothers and sisters, where we must hold fast, hold strong to the essentials of faith. The essentials of faith through which we are bound to our brotherhood, our sisterhood, through a solidarity that allows us to understand ourselves as one body, one nation, one ummah, one mind, one heart. This is a time of a new Islam, the change of worlds, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given to the world in his message. Armageddon has begun. The war of Armageddon has begun. So we must gird ourselves up, build our endurance, establish for ourselves the relationship that is proper with the one God. And we are in this hour to be ready to go to war first with self, to make ourselves battle ready. Let's not assume that we are ready for the front line if we are still struggling with some of the basics. I remind you, as I remind myself, that when we enter this month, which we, as Brother Abdul Salam just mentioned, in just a few days, when we enter the gates of the holy month of Ramadan, we should do our best to be completely aware of all of the levels of fasting, all of the levels of what it means to abstain or practice saum, abstaining. We, by the grace of Allah, in our last session, focused on fasting. And inshallah, in this session, we will focus, as I understood the desire to be, on prayer, on Salah. For if we understand the idea of prayer, it in our original language has many manifestations, meaning, as we just stated, Salah, which are our obligatory 5 daily prayers, the Muslim daily prayer service. Prayer in English is very, very broad. But if we understand and have taken some of the other courses in Al-Quran phonics, we know that the language of Arabic is very, very specific. So we have Salah, the Muslim daily prayers, the 5 obligatory, but we also have dua, when we are making a supplication or petition. We also have dhikr or adhkar, which really encompasses both of these through what is known as the remembrance of Allah. And if we can put that slide up that says in the Holy Quran that the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. In the original language, dhikrullahu akbar. That when we are in dua or supplication, when we are in salah or establishing our connection to Allah through a communication that includes all of the sensory perceptions, we are making our prayer through not only the recitation of the Holy Quran, which is a mode of not only the remembrance of Allah, but a mode of prayer. The entire Quran is a prayer. So the remembrance of Allah in the Salah includes the recitation of the Holy Quran. It includes the petitioning of Allah Most High, and it includes the body language of the devotee. That body language demonstrates for us the reality of what we are seeking when we are seeking the presence of Allah God. And what we are seeking is to bend our will to match the will of Allah God Most High. So when we are saying Allahu Akbar and what is known as the takbir, takbiratul ihram, the takbir that establishes for us the sacred space of Salah, where we are to have complete focus on Allah God. When we make that takbir, we are in Salah. This Salah is a body language that now demonstrates after the takbir, once we have thrown our hands up in surrender, as our beloved minister has given us the picture many times. If that police officer comes to you and pulls out a pistol and says, hands up, it represents surrender, right? But when we drop our hands in the Salah, we drop them to place the right hand over the left. In the Holy Quran, Allah speaks of the companions of the right and the companions of the left. The companions of the right are those that are companions of the ones that are near to Allah. the ones that have achieved success, that have achieved the idea and state of paradise, of heaven. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us to set ourselves in heaven at once. And we do this through the purification of self, through the surrender of self, by completely immersing ourselves in the presence of God, the companions of the right. Then Allah Most High, Allah Ta'ala in the Quran speaks of the companions of the left. These are those that are in a state of grief, a state of torment, a state of hell. And that hell that we are going through is not only based on the condition of society itself. For many, look at the conditions of society that, yes, are placing us in a state or condition of stress, a state or condition of oppression, which is hell itself. But if we look at Abraham, when he, as the Holy Quran teaches, was thrown in the fire, that Allah made the fire cool for Ibrahim, peace be upon him. That even though he was in the fire, it did not disturb him. This is what we, the Muslim, we the believers, should be striving to do here in the fires of the wilderness of North America, is to be unbothered by the conditions that have been established by our open enemy. This is what makes us battle ready. This is what makes us ready by first going to jihad with ourselves, Jihad al-Akbar, the great jihad, to overcome the internal demons, the internal suggestions that would allow us to be pulled from the straight path of Allah God through the beckoning and suggestions of Shaitan himself. It is a duty for the Muslim to establish remembrance of Allah. It is a duty for the Muslim to establish remembrance of Allah through the Muslim daily prayer service. If we, brothers and sisters, are going through this holy month of Ramadan and we are not practicing prayer and we're fasting day in and day out, we're not taking the full prescription that Allah Most High has given to the Muslim. We must not look at this holy month as a time in which we are building our will power only through the abstinence of taking in food, taking in drink, abstaining from sexual relations with our husbands or wives, that we are overcoming the fleshly desires while still harboring within our heart and minds that which distances us from God's presence. We see in the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we want to put these words up first from page 204 of Message to the Black Man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad states, "It is far more important to teach separation of the blacks and whites in America than prayer." Oh, well, brother, I thought you just said prayer is the way we connect to Allah. Brothers, sisters, key to understand And we must not misquote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I've heard us sometimes say it is far better, or it is better to teach separation. No, that is not the word. Let's focus on words, the word of God, the word of guidance that we are given. It is far more important. So now we're establishing with this word important a prioritization. You cannot take this one sentence from page 204 and throw away the entire section called the Muslim Daily Prayer Service, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shows us step by step the prayer service, explains its importance, gives to us instruction on how to make wudu or ablution in preparation for the prayer. It is important for us, brothers and sisters, to separate. But what are we separating from? We are separating ourselves from the evils of this enemy's world. So yeah, here's my message to the Black man. There's a lot of little tabs and it's kind of beat up, as it should be, from study and reflection. But when we look at this book, it contains within it the sciences of Islam in all of their comprehensive reality to establish a nation. That is the importance of this statement, is not to just be ritualistic about prayer, particularly if we have not thoroughly come to knowledge of the one true God, come to knowledge of self, knowledge of the enemy, and knowledge of the time. So if we look in the contents of this book, Message to the Black Man, and we turn the page and we see all of these wonderful topics, let's not forget the beginning of the prayer service teaching on page 135 that goes through 135 to 159. And then look at the order. First, as we stated, this book begins with Allah is God. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is pointing to this reality that our separation requires the knowledge of God. Then, of course, that knowledge of God is dealing with the knowledge of self. The next section, original man. The next section, Islam. So now that we have knowledge of God, knowledge of self, then we must know Islam. And we know that Islam has been established as a religion, And Islam is an Arabic word for peace. Peace established by security. And how much do we understand that we can have security through knowledge of God, knowledge of self? This in reality is what establishes our peace of mind, our peace of heart, our peace of our surroundings. So this is the beginning of separation, separating the mind from false concepts and ideas of God. Then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad introduces us to the Bible and the Quran. Next section. The scriptures of Allah's revealed word. Next section, the devil. Look at the process. Now I know the enemy. If I have studied the devil, and then we learn that the devil is not just some external reality that we can simply just say, oh, man, I learned that the devil is the white man. Yes. But have we learned and understood that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, of course, teaches us that devil is a characteristic, and that we, if we, and I'm not quoting perfectly, but if we, as the words of 1974 Savior's Day, can the pot or the potter blame the pot? Please help me with this. I'm mixing it up a little bit because I'm freestyling a little bit. Can
I got you, Imam.
the pot blame the potter? Let's write that exact quote down. Or can the potter blame the pot? We understand what this means, is that devil is made. And if we look, brothers and sisters, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is placing this reality right back upon the original man. Then after we have come to knowledge of the devil, we are there at the prayer service, an entire section dedicated to prayer. Prayer in Islam, the significance of prayer, the Muslim prayer service and its meanings, the times of prayer and its meaning, the morning prayer, the preparation and its meaning, the opening, Al-Fatiha, the knowledge of prayer, prayers to pray, a prayer for the messenger, and confidence gained through prayers. Then we have program and position. Now that we are spiritually and mentally sound, and we have knowledge of God and knowledge of the devil, knowledge of the time, now we begin to take position in the social realities that we face. And now we become ready or prepared. Economic program. Then we see the persecution of the righteous. Then land of our own. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you for bearing with me through just looking at the headings of this book, Message to the Black Man. All pointing to this key point that we wanted to establish, that this book, Message to the Black Man, is a comprehensive articulation of the world of Islam, the world that we as Muslims, a Muslim nation, should be striving for. So yes, it is far more important to teach separation of the blacks and whites in America than prayer. This is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. What are you saying, brother? Well, if we know the history of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, it was not until the early Muslims separated, migrated from Mecca to Medina, that the prayer service became an obligation. These are the points, these are the contexts in which we must understand the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was through the ascension of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, that the prayer service became an obligation. That ascension did not occur until, or right shortly after, the migration of the Muslims to Medina? Can we, or do we have that hadith to put up that prayer is the ascension of the Muslim? Prayer is the ascension of the Muslim. If we don't have it handy, just know that that is a hadith, an authentic hadith or saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. So what is prayer? We mentioned one of the modes is dua, another, which means supplication or petition. Another mode of prayer is salah, which has such a specific meaning that it is all unto itself a right of the believer, R-I-T-E, right, that requires preparation through ablution, preparation through the establishment of our intention, preparation by facing in the direction of the Qibla, or the direction of the Holy Mosque in Mecca. Preparation in establishing a peacefulness or tranquility of heart and mind. We should not be under duress when we approach salah. This word salah in the original language has two key root meanings. If we could place the first meaning of that root from salah, which of course is prayer or supplication. When we say musalla, like a musalla, right? It can mean a place of prayer in its forms of this root, musalla, a place of worship, a mosque. And beautifully, it means a blessing or mercy in and of itself. Musalla, place of prayer or worship. And when we hear the word masjid, anglicized as mosque, masjid, it speaks specifically to a position of the prayer where we can place our face to the ground with 7 points touching the ground in sajda. If we have heard that name or word, sajda, masjid, the position of sajda, inshallah, we will go through these momentarily. We want to give an encapsulation of the context of the modes of prayer first. That's what we're doing right now. The second root meaning of the word salah is wasala, wasala. That slide, if we can put that up, wasala, it means to reach a place, to arrive at, to come to join, to seek friendship, to attain, unite, or connect. Praise be to Allah. So if we are not in a mindset that is taking us to a place that we desire to arrive at, that we desire to seek nearness or friendship, that we attain unification with Allah, that we establish a connection with Allah. If we are not in that mode of our consciousness, of our intention, then our prayer is not focused on its purpose. to establish connection. We hear it all the time. Can you hear me now? When we have a bad connection. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And we move around to find a good connection with the signal. So that signal, brothers and sisters, that connection, also in this word sil, the root, it means link, as in a link in a chain, that we are linked, connected to Allah Most High. Hold fast to the rope of Allah. Praise be to Allah. How beautiful this faith is, this practice of prayer, which should not be a ritual. We should not move through the prayer as a action that we speed through. We should move through each position with absolute understanding of these positions that are a body language. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given to us an important goal that if we look at the purpose of prayer, the goal is to purify self. The goal is to take us away from a tendency. He states on page 135 of Message to the Black Man, as we are generally sinful and easily yield to temptations, it is only fitting to keep up prayer. If we can put that slide up. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying we're generally sinful and easily yield to temptations. So it's fitting to keep up prayer. Why is this so? We are in a society, brothers and sisters, that is constantly beckoning us. As the Prophet, peace be upon him, stated in the last days, for the Muslim, it would be as one attempting to hold a burning coal to keep our Islam. A hot coal to keep our Islam. So the significance of prayer, the purpose of prayer is to purify the heart, to purify the mind, to bend ourselves to the will of Allah so that we can establish a connection, establish a unification, establish our ultimate relationship with Rabbil Alameen, the Lord of the worlds. So we ask, what does this have to do with Ramadan and fasting? Well, Ramadan is the month in which we fast. It is a prescription. It is a prescription, but in it, there are the activities in the night prayer, where we take on additional prayers that are considered to be among the sunnah or the traditional prayers that are established in the night, known as Taraweeh. So we're picking up extra, those supererogatory actions, those additional deeds that Allah Most High has given to us beyond the obligation, beyond the fard. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad states on page 14 of Muslim Daily Prayers. This is again for those who say of the Nation of Islam that we don't pray. Look at how central prayer is. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, of course, we know wrote this book in 1957. And there's an original copy that's much smaller that fits right in your pocket. It was designed for us to hold in our hand while we make our salah, so that we could begin to practice and learn it in English first to understand. But on page 14, it is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, if we can put up that slide as well. Page 14, where he states each prayer consists of two parts. One is the obligatory, called in Arabic, Fajr. The other is traditional, called in Arabic, Sunnah. And each comprises a different number of steps, known as rak'ah, rak'ahs. Praise be to Allah. Page 14. So, brothers and sisters, when we see this instruction from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad concerning the obligatory and traditional prayers, we see that he is pointing us to the obligation while yet letting us know the sunnah practices of the prayer itself. I think we can see that. Is that a little too big? I'm not sure if what the scaling was on that. I saw it, but it was huge. But maybe Allah wants us to see that real close, these certain words that may have been identified. So those slides, brothers and sisters, if we can screenshot them or take a note, I hope we're writing these page numbers down so that we understand. But this idea of the sunnah versus the fard, the obligatory versus the traditional practice that is upon or in addition to the fundamentals, are very important to understand during the holy month of Ramadan, because this is the month of Ramadan in which we strive to go beyond the call of duty, beyond the call of basic obligation. Allah does not desire to place hardship on us, but through the month of Ramadan, we are taking ourselves to another level. The whole point of the month of Ramadan is to advance our spiritual, physical, and mental capacity as Muslims to achieve greater heights. Praise be to Allah. Greater heights in our striving to become supernatural, to be able to go beyond the natural realities of the call of food, the call of sex, the call of thirst, the call of these low vibrational conversations that we have, to tame the tongue. So the Salah is also an encapsulation of all of these modes of abstaining. It is forbidden to eat during prayer. So we're fasting in prayer. Beautiful. It is forbidden to speak, right, outside of the recitations of the Quran itself. So we're not to talk to anyone while we are praying. This is the fast of Zechariah in the Quran, the taming of the tongue, the abstaining from speech. It is in the fast that we are giving a type of charity, in the fact that we are doing a good deed physically to attain Allah's pleasure, to attain the reward that Allah Most High has for those that strive for nearness to Him. It is in Surah 53, verse 39 through 42, where Allah states, and that man can have nothing but what he strives for, and that his striving will soon be seen. Then he will be rewarded for it with the fullest reward, and that to thy Lord is the goal. So our goal is to be one with Allah, but it requires a striving. It requires a striving, and this is that word jihad. Jihad, meaning a struggle. So even in the establishment of prayer itself, it is a struggle to make sure that we are making the prayers on time, in time, with the right mindset, with the right preparation, that we are taking seriously the mindset to restrain ourselves and distance ourselves from evil. It is Allah Most High who states in the Holy Quran, this one, very important, in Surah 25, verse 77, say, my Lord would not care for you were it not for your prayers. Let's put that slide up. My Lord would not care for you if it were not for your prayers. Let's just let that one sink in for a moment. What does care mean? What does this mean? So in the previous verse, as we stated, as Allah revealed, Allah is stating that we must strive to reach a goal of nearness to Allah. And that striving will soon be seen. How is it seen? It is seen in Allah's care. The provisions that Allah has, the reward that Allah has for the believer. He will be rewarded for it with the fullest reward in the striving. This, brothers and sisters, is very important for us to keep to heart, because this is not a spooky religion. So when we speak of reward and the benefits of prayer, yes, they are connected to the spiritual, but they are rooted in reality of physical manifestation. These are the strivings that are what? To soon be seen. Soon be seen. So when we are on our prayer rugs asking Allah for these desires, these needs of fulfillment, when we're asking Allah for protection, when we're asking Allah for all of what He has for the believer, when we're asking Allah to relieve us of grief, of anxiety, to relieve us of being overpowered by debt being overpowered by those oppressors. All of these things that we make in our dua, the askings in the Al-Fatiha. Oh Allah, guide us on the straight or right path. These are the things that we are asking that are yet to be seen, but soon to be manifest. Praise be to Allah. We, brothers and sisters, must understand that as Ramadan is a form of worship, as the dua is a form of worship or prayer, as the Salah is a form of worship or prayer, the Jihad form of worship and prayer, as we mentioned, the remembrance, just thinking on Allah Most High, Dhikrullahu Akbar, the remembrance of Allah is the greatest of forces. Our prayer. But these are the devotional practices that mean nothing if we are not putting our prayers into action. What do we mean by that? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the master teacher, gives to us the essence of what we need to understand to make sure that we are not becoming ritualistic, that our prayers are real, that our prayers are established on truth. Our prayers are to be worked out through striving, that our prayers are of the righteous by establishing righteousness and fighting for righteousness through our service to one another and our duty to our people, our community, our families. It is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who stated in a table talk, he stated, to serve God, to serve Allah, you were taught prayer. Then when you leave the prayer service, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad states, you are searching for what? He asks the question. So when you leave the prayer service, after you've made your rak'ahs and you have made your salah, and you've made your dua, and you've made your intention and all of the steps we've perfected, what do we do when we get up from that prayer rug? What do we do after we have made our prayer service? You are searching for what? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad asks. He states the answer to the prayer. You are studying then, he states, the answer to prayers. You find then that you find then that the prayer is the key to the knowledge that you were seeking. Oh, I have to state that one more time because that one sentence is so rich and so profound that really it needs to be unwrapped. You find then that the prayer is the key to the knowledge that you were seeking. Knowledge? I gain knowledge through prayer. Knowledge of what? You are studying the answer to prayers. Wow. So in the prayer itself, are you telling me, dear Holy Apostle, that Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that the answer to my prayers is in the actual prayer itself? You are studying the answer to prayers? What are we reciting when we pray? Are we just reciting from the mouth and not with the heart? Are we reciting with the heart, the mouth, and the mind and the study, but not going out to seek the answer to the prayer? We must strive, brothers and sisters. So if you're asking Allah in the study of the prayer, so this means every word that we recite, Allah is guiding us in a study to manifest our need, our want, our nearness to Him. All praise is due to Allah. We thank Allah eternally for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who has not only given to us the purpose of our existence, but given to us an entire field to work out our prayers through the proper knowledge of Allah God Himself. Allah in the Holy Quran in Surah 29, verse 45. We will begin to wrap this portion of the presentation up with this statement from Allah, this revelation. 29, verse 45. Allah in Surah 29, verse 45 states, surely prayer keeps one away from indecency and evil. And certainly the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. And Allah knows what you do. All praise is due to Allah. In this phrase, dhikrullahu akbar, the remembrance of Allah is the greatest force. Brothers and sisters, we can make prayer an obligation on ourselves, go through the motions, make our prayers on time, but if we are still indecent, if we are still wrapped in the evils of this world, our remembrance, our recitation is not being implemented. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, what did he say? The answer to our prayers is in what we are studying of the prayer. So if we are studying this verse, reflecting on this verse deeply, oh, well, Allah is telling me if I stay away from indecency and evil, that in itself is prayer. That if I remember Allah, that in itself is not only prayer, but it's the greatest force. Force for what? What is force? What is power? That is God Himself. And Allah knows what you do. So prayer without the deed, brothers and sisters, is the point. Prayer without the deed and action of righteousness, the activities of the righteous, is fruitless. Allah warns the prayerful, Waylun lil musallin. Waylun lil musallin. If we have that slide, please pull it up. Woe unto those who keep up prayer. Woe unto those who keep up prayer, but are not mindful. Right? This is the acts of kindness. This chapter, very important for us to reflect upon. So if we are not mindful of the neighborly needs, if we are not mindful of the duty that we have to feed the poor, to meet the need, the ma'un, meet the need of the people, we are just going through motions. We are going through the motions of a ritualistic mindset, a ritualistic mode of prayer that does not change who we are, does not develop our character. So this is the focus that we must be in, brothers and sisters, during this holy month, that we are exercising our duty in the study of our prayer to affect our lives. It is a history in the Prophet, peace be upon him, where he's approached by the Sahaba or his companions, and the word around was that we know of the most righteous person. He's prayerful all of the time in the mosque. He makes all of his prayers on time. He does all of the additional sunnah prayers, the supererogatory prayers, the additional prayers. And he is the most pious among us. The Prophet asked, who feeds him? The companions responded, his brothers, they feed him. He said, well, they are more pious and more righteous than he. Praise be to Allah. So we know our prayers, but do we have a means of seeking the sustenance of thy Lord? We know our dua, we can recite the Quran, but are we kind to our spouses, our children? We can recite, we can, with our dhikr beads, our prayer beads, we can recite all 99 names of Allah. But are we manifesting Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Qudus, Al-Salam? Are we manifesting mercy, Ar-Rahman? Are we manifesting beneficence by giving? Are we giving? Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik. Are we manifesting sovereignty in our lives? Al-Qudus. Are we holy? Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Al-Malik, Al-Qudus, As-Salam. Are we peacemakers? Oh, wow. We may not be able to get past the first 5 and think that we are among the righteous because we can recite the names of Allah. Reciting is just the beginning. Knowing and doing is what Allah wants to see. I remind you, as I remind myself, we are striving, brothers and sisters, to establish the fard, the obligation. And from that, we build from those 5 pillars that remain the same in the establishment of a new Islam. 5 pillars of action, 5 principles of action, and the principles of faith remain the same. And from these, we build an entirely new world. It is in the holy month of Ramadan that we begin to get a glimpse of Jannah, a glimpse of that paradise. But we have to strive hard. We have to work. We have to stand for truth against falsehood. All of these are aspects of manifesting in our lives the will of God that is represented in our prayer. Praise be to Allah. Inshallah, we'll close here and we desire to show us where we can learn all of the steps of prayer, right? How to perform the prayer properly, how to make our recitations in the original Arabic. Oh, brother, what do you mean in the original language of Arabic? I just, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he taught us prayer in English. Well, what did he say in this book? How does the book end? I'm sorry, how does this book begin? It begins showing us in the original language of Arabic, Al-Fatiha. For those that have taken the Quranic Arabic phonics course, we now can look on this page, page 5, and now recognize our mother tongue. It is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who states in this book, let's see what page it is here. Let's pull this slide up for the believers. On right here it is. Right here, page 4 of Muslim Daily Prayers. Let's pull that slide up. Page 4 of Muslim Daily Prayers. That at present, it is sufficient that you learn these prayers as we have printed them here. Someday in the near future, however, you will learn them in your own language and that of your righteous foreparents, Arabic. May Allah bless you and keep you on the right path. Praise be to Allah. And yes, there's my brother. Thank you, brothers. Abdul Salam, Imam Abdul Salam. We have this Muslim Daily Prayers, a learner's guide that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in guiding us to that hour in the near future, that this here was written in 1957. This published in 2002, right? So that near future has arrived. Praise be to Allah. But we don't want to be parrots of the Arabic, right? We don't want to recite that which we don't understand, or we are unable then to apply the knowledge of what we are reciting and studying in the prayer itself. We have to, brothers and sisters, remain balanced in how we are accepting for ourselves patience in our gradual development. Man, you say the near future, 1957 to the year 2002, that's a stretch. It's a whole generation almost. Well, brothers and sisters, we aren't establishing a storefront mosque. We're establishing a nation. Praise be to Allah. We are establishing a completely new society upon which we are establishing a government, a universal government of peace for the righteous. Praise be to Allah. So let us strive to establish our daily prayers on time, in time, throughout the holy month of Ramadan. If you navigate to islamicsciences.noi.org, if we can do so on the screen, inshallah, to help those that may not have visited this site, log in, establish your account, which is free, and take this self-paced course of the Muslim Daily Prayer Services. You can take them beginning with the English Learn them first in English, but quickly move to learning them in the original language of Arabic. So if we can see on the screen, this home page, you navigate to courses. It will take you to the original language Arabic phonics course. We've just gone through a 6-week session just before Savior's Day. Then you have Muslim Daily Prayers course, English introduction. Start there if you are new to the prayer service. And then you have the Muslim Daily Prayers course, Arabic English step-by-step instructional demonstration video. Inshallah, just in a moment, we will play a portion of this to show you how you can use this video to go along with your Muslim Daily Prayers original print book as a guide to learn the Arabic recitations. And if you continue to scroll down, these are for those that are desirous at some point, inshallah, to become student imams. We do have courses that are for those that request and meet a candidacy. We're inviting specific individuals at this point on how to deliver Jumu'ah. And Allah willing, mark it in your calendar. Our brother student, Imam ABDUL SALAAM, will be delivering a khutbah during the holy month of Ramadan right here from the National Center in Chicago. All praises due to Allah. And of course, you see the Ramadan Readiness course, which are a series of writings that will help us review the basics of fasting. But if we navigate, please, to Muslim Daily Prayers course, Arabic demonstration, it would be best to take that course with the Muslim Daily Prayers Learner's Guide, right? But don't let the original copy go too far from you, okay? Because it's really based in this. And if we can cue the video, we'll play a portion of the video and close out, inshallah, and show you how easy it is, inshallah, to follow along and learn our prayers in our original language. Praise be to Allah. So in what you're about to see, a short demonstration will play maybe 3 minutes or so from it. And then I want to close down and turn over this conversation to our dear brother, the student Imam Abdul Salam. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick look. Oh, that brother had a few less pounds on him. I'm not sure who that is. Inshallah, this holy month of Ramadan, even though we don't fast during the month of Ramadan to lose weight, we want to, as our minister told us last year, we want to lose the weight of sin. But it's an extra blessing if that weight comes on off of us too. Allahu Akbar. All right, let us take a look at this, and inshallah, we'll give some commentary. I hope we can hear it.
إني وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا وما أنا من المشركين.
Can we hear the audio? Excellent.
نويت نصلي ركعتين صلاة الفجر تعبد الله تعالى. الله أكبر. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم. سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الحمد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى. الله أكبر. اللهم اغفر لي وارحمني. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم
All praise is due to Allah. This video demonstration is available at islamicsciences.noi.org, either for download in its entirety, or also via DVD. If we still have DVD players, you can also order the DVD. It is a important part of our development to establish prayer. And we want to really end where we began. If we can please pull up chapter 107. And we mentioned it and paraphrased it earlier, but we want to be clear about this exercise of prayer, Salah in particular. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Allah states, have you seen him who belies religion? أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. That is the one who is rough to the orphan. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, and urges not the feeding of the needy. So woe, waylun lil musallin, who are unmindful of their prayer, who do good to be seen and refrain from acts of kindness. Ma'un. Brothers and sisters, our faith is a practical faith. It is a demonstration of our desire to be near to Allah Most High. But that desire must be studied, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated, that the answer to our prayers are in the prayer, and that the prayer itself is to be studied. So here Allah is giving us instruction on how our prayers can be answered. Meet the need of the orphan. Urge all to feed the needy. Be among those that are feeding the needy. And we find quickly that this requires an establishment of society and ultimately the establishment of government, a righteous government, and then the renewal in totality of Islam itself, religion itself. Brothers and sisters, we see that Allah Most High has given to us the best and most comprehensive of faith. The most comprehensive of faith, in that we are given exactly how to act, what to eat, what to think. These are a instruction for those who would but study the faith itself, study the revelation itself, become acquainted with the Holy Quran. We want to put up one last, or actually two here, and we'll close out. I know I've been saying that, but this is the final point, is that we want to make sure that we understand the context that we are in seeking this idea of first separation, that it is more important to teach separation than prayer, right? Now, why? And we will lay that understanding down from these words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If we have access to that slide, let's please pull his words up. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in a message he delivered in 2017, set your mind and set your will for the great fast of Ramadan. He states, the world that we live in is a world that is sick with evil. Evil that is against the nature of God and the nature in which he created us. So many of us are sick and diseased, and we are filled with misfortune because we have deviated from the nature of our wonderful creation and our magnificent creator. So to read these verses, speaking of the Holy Quran, let us look at this marvelous prescription. This Holy Quran is called Al-Shifa. Al-Shifa. This is the Holy Quran that we must nurse from, Al-Shifa, so that we may gain healing. It is in our prayer service that we recite chapters of the Holy Quran so that we may gain healing. And we gain healing by understanding that which we are to implement in our lives as righteous Muslims. And we must pass this on to our children. We must make sure that we are practicing our prayer and our life of devotion collectively. It is extremely important that we establish this reality for our children. We may not make our prayers, all of them, on time, in time, every day, 5 times a day, right? That's the obligation, but we are gradually establishing this most important aspect of prayer, and that is knowledge of God. We must know that through our action, through the first work of getting our people into the knowledge of God, is the most important reality. We can pick up all of these recitations, recite beautifully, but if we are not going out into the community, if we are not teaching our children, if we are not establishing the society in which we can protect ourselves practically from the indecencies and evils that we face, we are not being mindful. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we may ask ourselves, when should we start praying? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad on page 143 of Message to the Black Man, he writes, order your children to say the stated prayers when they are 7 years of age, and beat them if they do not do so when they are 10 years old. Wow. Why did you end there, brother Imam? Saying beat our children because they're not praying? Well, some of us, we're going to have to start beating ourselves first, right? I remind you as I remind myself. What would we look like beating our children for not praying at 10 years old and ordering them to pray at 7? And this is a divine instruction from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yet some of us want to take that one sentence and say, It's more important to establish separation. Wait a minute. Weigh it against this. Order your children to say the stated prayers when they are 7. It's part of separation, if we really understand what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is saying. But there are priorities. You got to know who God is first before you start. Right? But let us know, brothers and sisters, that we are in a beautiful development that is bringing us along stage by stage. Gradualism. This is the way, this is the sunnah of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. And the efficacy of this teaching has been proven because it has been established by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and reproved by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah. Let us, brothers and sisters, know that our minister has taught us that we have come out of the Meccan stage of our development as Muslims in America and are now in the Medinan stage of our development with a universal mission. Praise be to Allah. Okay, I'll end there, inshallah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience. If there are any questions, we can answer those questions. We don't want to keep you long tonight. Just know that there are very well-developed instructional guides, learners' guides. And again, we have coming to you very soon. You can pre-order your book, Fasting in Islam, Ramadan and Beyond, for detailed questions specifically on Ramadan. If we can put that slide up so folks know where to grab that. We will make sure to get that to you in both ebook and physical book, inshallah, as soon as we are complete. Those should go out, inshallah, within, give us about 10 days to finalize what we need to finalize with the book. The ebook will be available immediately, and then right following behind that, inshallah, will be the book itself. Okay, so thank you again for listening. I pray Allah that that request was met, that we focus this session on the prayer, the importance of Salah during the holy month of Ramadan as a central aspect of what we must do as part of the ingredients of the holy month of Ramadan, so that we have a successful fast. Praise be to Allah. We greet you as we came. Assalamu alaikum. Please don't shut down. We are going to open up for more discussion, inshallah.
Wa alaikum salam, brother Imam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Come on, brothers and sisters, let's put the Allahu Akbars and the ones in the chat for our student national Imam. All praise is due to Allah. A lot, again, has been covered tonight. We have made part 1 available from last week, and we will work very hard this evening to turn this session around and make it available on YouTube as well. And when we send these out, if you get them, dear brothers and sisters, you share them with all the believers. Just do as you do in your text. Send them the link so that we can partake in these sessions through the replays. So Brother Imam, thank you so much. We were actually working, Sister Joy, myself, in the question and answer tab, answering a lot of questions already. But of course, I think that the biggest question we probably need to answer right now and kind of address is, of course, when do we expect the month of Ramadan to commence and the first day of fasting be?
Yes, of course. Praise be to Allah. If we tuned in to our Sunday meeting with, oh man, our brother student minister Ilya Rashad gave a beautiful, beautiful presentation on the wheel. And, you know, we have to go back to the time and what must be done and study our ministers' teaching on the wheel. Very important, very important. If we are reciting the 99 attributes of Allah in prayer and adhkar and dhikr and remembrance of Allah, we have to understand how do these attributes manifest in reality. Wow. Our minister spoke of the presence of Allah being associated with the wheel and the attributes of Allah being associated with the wheel. And of course, we know that the manifestation of these attributes of Allah come through our being, and they come most perfectly through Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi. So what are these attributes that we must establish? Praise be to Allah. I know I went to the side. It was just an excellent, excellent presentation from our brother, student minister Ilya Rashad on the wheel. And there's a deep spiritual teaching on that we must stay rooted in terms of our study. On that Sunday, we announced actually that we will begin fasting, inshallah, this Thursday, the night prior, Wednesday night, inshallah, we are expecting to see the crescent moon. Technically, a very small sliver of it, all right, will let us know that Ramadan has begun. But in reality, it is a full black moon.
Right now, as we speak.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. A black moon representing the absolute new moon, okay? But the first sliver of light that comes and reflects from the moon is called hilal, the hilal. Just like our flag, the crescent that we see is hilal, and it means beginning, right? Praise be to Allah, hilal. So that night we can begin our reading. Actually, tomorrow night, we can begin our prayers, our night prayers, and all of the devotions that are associated with the holy month of Ramadan. We can begin Wednesday night greeting the holy month of Ramadan at Maghrib prayer sundown on Wednesday, tomorrow night. But we wake up before Fajr prayer, we have our suhoor, our morning intake of water, you know, something very light like fruit, anything natural. And these are part of the practices of returning to our natural disposition, because the end of the holy month of Ramadan is celebrated in Eid al-Fitr, which speaks to the original nature of self, the fitra, right? And I don't want to go too far on that, but we'll teach more on that, inshallah, in upcoming, that we are breaking the fast in Eid al-Fitr, but we are returning to our original nature. And our point here is that we eat, if we're taking in something, we take it in light, water, right? Some tea, you know, we can have some grapes, light fruit, okay? Something that'll give us the sustenance we need to make it through the day. And make sure that we stay hydrated. Take in as much water as you can at that time, primarily. All right. But that is before Fajr prayer. Once Fajr prayer comes in, that's it. We then begin our first day of fasting on Thursday after sunrise, after Fajr, I'm sorry, right at Fajr prayer on Thursday. And I'm going to, so right now, as I look, we see Fajr prayer comes in at about 5:36, 5:30 or 5:32. Actually, I see here. So let me see in a couple of days here. So Wednesday, so Thursday, actually, Fajr prayer comes in at 5:30. So you'll see it's coming and moving back slowly, a few minutes at a time.
Brother Imam,
Yeah, this is, I'm sorry.
Central time.
Yeah, thank you. This is Central
Yeah.
time, right here in Central time. Okay. So of course, you know, if you have an app with your prayer schedule, or actually tonight, or first thing tomorrow, we'll be sending out, if you're on the mailing list, you'll receive our National Center's prayer schedule. If you do not or are not signed up on that list, please visit islamicsciences.noi.org and enter your information, and you can receive that. And I see, yes, or islamicfinder.com is where you can find your local prayer schedule. Okay. But to answer that question, I hope we did, is that inshallah Thursday, we begin our fast, but the holy month of Ramadan, the night precedes the day, actually begins Wednesday night at sundown, and then Thursday. So that's saying what? That the first night of Ramadan is Wednesday night. The first day of Ramadan, where we actually begin our fast, is on Thursday during the daylight hours. Then by nighttime, of course, we break our fast with iftar, and inshallah, do your best to share your breaking of fast with believers. And you know, there's much blessing and benefit in breaking our fast together. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
And you will, last point on that is, you will, inshallah, receive the national announcement as well via email. So when you receive that tomorrow from the National Center, make sure you post it, share it widely to all on your social media, and forward the email to as many believers as you can. And inshallah, we will make sure to continue to spread the word as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. And the believers, I'm sorry, we're letting you know all kind of ways. So
yeah,
also, inshallah, on the believers meeting tomorrow night, we'll make another announcement for it as well. So for those who are on the call today, you got an early heads up, so you can also begin to spread the word. But tomorrow night for our believers meeting, we will also announce it, and via email and social media and all means of communication. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. So dear brothers and sisters, make sure we don't want any more confusion. You know, we tend to get confused and make confusion, more confusion, but we don't have to strain. All we have to do is follow our leadership.
That's right.
And make sure that that's our modality. You may hear all kind of things. regarding the moon and the sighting. Even someone put in tonight that the moon was out. I said, well, send us a picture. give us evidence of it, because even those that had telescopes out in Saudi Arabia couldn't see anything tonight.
Right,
So I would only say, again, just follow your leadership and you'll be fine. And guess what? The way Allah would have it, on Thursday morning, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is scheduled to grace us with opening us up on the new Ramadan, the Ummah Reflects podcast, formerly known as the Ramadan Prayer Line. And Brother Abdul Alim, can you share your screen and make it big, the flyer, for us as you had it earlier before we started? So and this is all over social media, but I just want us to put this up so that, let me see, do I have it? I think I have it. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So
excellent.
Yeah, so you see this all over social media. Please share it. Please download the app. Keep in mind, this will not be a telephone call, as we have done in previous years with our beloved Sister Nisa Islam Muhammad in the Ramadan Prayer Line staff. This is a upgrade into reaching more people and being able to catalog and carry it with you everywhere that you go. Okay, so let's make sure we're doing that. Brother Imam, if I could though, I want to kind of double down on something that you mentioned. Dear brothers and sisters, our language reflects the culture that we live in. So don't focus so much on day 1, day 2, day 3. Day in Ramadan is only significant of the time that we're fasting. So we associate day with the period of time that we're fasting. It's best to read the Quran each night as it comes in. But if you can't, you read it when you can. But you will find a much easier routing to finishing the Quran with that as a goal in mind. If on tomorrow night you begin reading after you make your prayers and have something to eat, you can read some in between the remaining time before Isha, and then make your Isha prayer and read some more. And you will find that goes much smoother, because normally in our culture, during the day, though we're fasting, many of us still have to keep our obligations to work and do some of the things that we do. And before you know it, the day has gone by and we're just basically concentrating on getting home to our families and maybe having iftar and going to sleep, and we can kind of get behind. Okay, but the main thing is read the Quran at a pace. Don't stop. Read some of it every day. But our goal is to try to finish it within the 29 nights that we may have in the months. Okay, so it's important that the reason why we're kind of, this year, we're kind of pressing things is because nights come first. Okay, and just remember that our fast, once again, because I saw a lot of questions about sunrise. No, Fajr is the language. The fast is from Fajr, the first obligatory prayer, to Maghrib, okay? The fourth obligatory prayer, okay? If you wake up late for Fajr, after the Fajr time, on your app, on that printout, the time that is denoting is telling us that if we was in an Islamic country, and turn your alert on your phone, it will call the adhan for you. Okay, so it's right. the adhan time when the prayer comes in and commences is the start and the stop. Okay, and I got a lot of questions about, the difference between daybreak and sunrise. Okay, and we'll talk more about those things, but All you have to do is regulate your fast and your iftar or breaking of the fast around your already established obligatory prayer. Fajr, Maghrib. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Let's
Now on that emphasis that our brother was giving, I was reminded the FOI, Fruit of Islam. Check your email.
Yeah.
The soldiers have received an instruction from the Supreme Captain, Student Supreme Captain, Brother Mustafa Farrakhan. We here in Chicago at the National Center, the brothers will be meeting for Fajr prayer together every Friday. So Fajr Fridays throughout the holy month of Ramadan, each Friday, we will show up at our mosque at 5 Central Time, okay, for Friday Fajr prayer. That gives us enough time to drink some water, right? Maybe eat a little piece of fruit like that. And then we start our day in prayer together collectively. And Student Supreme Captain Mustafa Farrakhan has also urged us to attend our Friday Jummah prayer service. 4 Fridays. Let us commit to those 4 Fridays in the holy month of Ramadan and beyond. So we're setting pace for what we desire to manifest as a complete mode of devotion throughout the year. And inshallah, we'll continue to encourage that now. Just let's look at what we are establishing as a standard of our demonstration of faith right now during the holy month of Ramadan. And you know, I have to say, I used to be among some of those that would state silly things like, you know, Ramadan Muslim. That's a Ramadan Muslim. Well, if you're a Muslim anytime, that's a good that's a good thing, you know. But we don't want, the point of that is that we don't want to only be practitioners of our faith during the holy month of Ramadan. But it is a good time, a very good time, to recalibrate, to renew, refresh, reboot, and reestablish the standard that our faith requires so that we can benefit from the reward that our faith demonstrates. Praise be to Allah. And I also dropped in the chat, I don't think we had the slide for that table talk statement from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on prayer. It's a very profound statement about the prayer service. I dropped it in the chat for the believers so you can have access to it. Inshallah, to serve God, you are taught prayer. Then when you leave the prayer service, you are searching for what? You are searching for the answer to the prayer. You are studying then the answer to prayers. Wow. The prayer service itself is a study. That is so beautiful. Every time I read it, it's just wow. The prayer service itself is a study to the answer to prayers. You find, let me read that. You find then that the prayer is the key to the knowledge that you were seeking. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. So that's in the chat for us as well to chew on and turn over and make sure that we are making our prayer bond.
Thank you. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Brother Imam, for that. And I did also put the quote concerning the potter and the clay.
Thank you,
earlier
sir.
on in the chat from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he's quoting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from Savior's Day 1974 concerning he was not raising us up to be mockers
That's
of
right.
the people. And that can be found on page 32 of Closing the Gap, where the minister is discussing and giving even fuller meaning to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was stating, that Brother Imam was saying. Who do we blame, the potter or the clay? You know, and that's where it's at. Also, I just put something in the chat because again, and I'm again, hey, I love us, but listen, we just gave you an answer to when we're starting Ramadan. And we're asking the technical questions that cause the confusion. What if it's cloudy? What if it's this? What if it's that? So I just put in there what I sent as the answer. We can't miss or mess it up. Smile. Shaban will run 30 days. Thus, we don't exceed 30 days in our Islamic calendar. So that's where we are right now.
Right.
So it's it. Tomorrow night will be Ramadan 1, whether we see a moon or don't see a moon, it won't matter at
That's
that
right.
point, because we can use our own intelligence that Allah gave us and the guidance of Prophet Muhammad, that if we're not sure, we can calculate the days.
Right. And it
So,
sure doesn't have anything to do with the clouds.
right.
You know, we've got telescopes. This is a modern modern time that we live in with modern equipment. Praise be to Allah. I think we posted it last time. If you know, if the brother or sister wants more information about how the days are calculated and the science of that, we do have the article, The Darkness of Night Precedes the Day, that was published last year in Final Call. We were going to publish it again this year, but for the first of it, but it's available. So I don't know, Sister Joy, if you maybe can drop that link in there. The Darkness of Night Precedes the Day.
Yeah, and if possible, Sister Joy, if you can email me or email me all the links to Imam's articles as well as the minister's articles around Ramadan, and we will send a collection of those out on the email list so that we can get those. And I implore each and every one of us, this week, our brother Imam has written an article on Ramadan. Please read it. Read the previous articles. They are not old. Right. They're full of wisdom. And if you just go over the articles, trust me, we might bring you on next year and let you, inshallah, and let you answer all of this stuff.
Oh, yes, right.
But I do want to say there are new Muslims with us. And this is why we take the time to do this. And I don't want you to think that we were mocking the brother's question about the clouds, but I do want us to see that follow your leadership if you're not sure. We're not here under Minister Farrakhan to guide you wrong. We're under guidance from him on matter. So just trust that if we're saying at this point, Ramadan will come in at Maghrib time tomorrow evening, and Allah bless us to see it, then we will begin our fasted Fajr on Thursday morning. Anybody telling you any different after that, they're just causing mischief.
That's right. And I love our sister's statement. I think it was Sister Zakiya. Would love to connect with the new Muslim sisters. That's the spirit.
That's it.
That we have knowledge that we can share, right? Resources that we can share. And this is the time to come together and practice brotherhood, sisterhood. And there are many resources. Thank you, Brother Abdul Salam, for offering to compile those to make it easier. They are also on islamicsciences.noi.org in the blog spot area. If you navigate in the blog, you'll see them, and we'll make sure that we update them, because I don't believe they're all there, right? My brother said he's going to do a comprehensive list, but we'll do our best to catch up to him and add them all to the website as well. But many of them are also on the blog space of islamicsciences.noi.org. And
Yes.
generally every year as well, we'll make sure to update noi.org. If you, I believe, go noi.org / Ramadan, you should be able to access resources as well.
Yes.
From our
Also,
minister, many articles. Yes.
absolutely. Also, to those that are asking questions about other activities, I would implore us, as Brother Imam said, we should not go through Ramadan alone.
Right.
This is not a time for us to retreat and be alone, especially believers that, you may not have other Muslims in your household or what have you. There are various ways to connect, have iftars together, right? Get on the phone. You know how we like to call and talk to each other about everything else, right? There are many sisters that get on the phone in the morning and read the Quran together.
That's
But
right.
you all can do that in your locale. Get on the phone with your squad and read the Quran in the evening time. You will see that if you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sisters on the line with you, just how fast and beautiful, not fast that you're rushing, but just how you can complete the night's reading. And brothers can do the same thing. You see the spirit of our beloved Supreme Captain. Let's do that among ourselves. Don't wait for regularized meetings for your Ramadan experience. Each night, each day, Allah is affording us a time to unite. And we have our regular meetings, so go to the meetings. On that note, one sister asked, if you're on your monthly cycle, you can still go to your mosque meetings. You know, you don't have to feel like you can't go to the mosque meetings and participate in the mosque meetings. The issue is the obligatory prayer. You sit that out, okay? And we'll talk more about those things with Brother Imam, but I don't want you to think that you can't go to the mosque and enjoy the iftar. You ask, could you go to the iftar? Absolutely. You can break your fast. I mean, you can eat. And while you're on your monthly cycle, you're not to fast. That is a valid exemption from Allah. And we went over that in the last session. But definitely, please go and enjoy your meetings. And we'll have inshallah, we're going to have an Eid edition to get us prepared for the Eid, because there are certain provisions that are given and blessings given to the sisters that may be experiencing that from the tradition of the Prophet in terms of attending Eid prayers. Okay, so Brother Imam, it was something. Could you? A lot of believers are asking about reading, because the general answer would be the Quran is the main focus.
Yes.
But the question is being asked, can we read other books? But then they're also asking, should we read Hadith along with the Quran? And reason why I'm bringing this up is just getting an understanding of main or the priority of what we're. Could you address that?
Yes, sir. Two things on that. Yes, absolutely. In the presentation of the question, our brother Imam Abdul Salam is right on point. The priority is the Quranic reading itself. Many of us do read through our daily reading. Some of us right after prayer. It's a good practice to, after Fajr prayer, begin your reading. Some of us prefer to do it at night, after after Isha. And we do that often if you are in a city or a locale where there's a imam that is reciting the entire juz'a or daily reading, which is very difficult to find sometimes. Some go to the Salat al-Tarawih and experience the reading, right? But that is somebody reciting it to you, and it's being recited generally, of course, in prayer in the original language of Arabic. I'm giving this because I wanted to point to the culture, right? The civilization that surrounds this very point our brother is making, that the Quranic reading of the juz'a is the priority, right? It's sometimes I'm very cautious about stating this. He knows already what I think my brother already knows what I'm going to state. It is not fard. It's not an obligation. So you're not going to hell if you miss your reading, all right? It's not a sin if you miss your reading, but you definitely are missing out on part of the prescription and part of the commemoration of the month in which the holy book was revealed, the Quran. So focus on the juz'a, and to the point where your reading focus is on the ayats, all right, the verses themselves, and not even the commentary. If you need the commentary, it's totally confusing. If there's certain Arabic words that are being stated, which is the case in the Quran oft times, because there's certain very specific words that the translator is trying to illuminate, and there's certain figures that are mentioned that aren't readily known historically, like Dhul Qarnayn, right? Certain individuals that are mentioned, you take a glance at those footnotes and keep moving in your actual reading. But the footnotes and the commentary are not part of your reading. So even in prioritization in that context, focus on the content of the Holy Quran, the actual recitation itself, the actual revelation itself. All right. If I were to suggest to you additional reading, and you are, you have a strong ability for retention and so forth, there are supplemental readings that you can go into. But when we read the Holy Quran, let's read it for understanding, right? So study it. If you have extra time and you feel that you have completed your reading, just go over it. Read a little more intently by looking up some of the words. And some of us have taken the Quranic phonics course and now can begin to find certain words in the original Arabic and unfold them and uncover different shades of the meaning that these translations don't provide. All of that said, those are different ways we can meet the priority of the Quranic reading. If you want supplements, that's a great idea, great thought to read Hadith. But what I would exhort, what I would promote, advocate, urge is that you read the history of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because there is context to the revelation in and of itself. Muhammad the Prophet by Muhammad Ali is a good read.
of Prophet Muhammad as well by Maulana Muhammad Ali. Living Thoughts
That's
of
right.
Prophet Muhammad.
That's right. That's right. Those, and those are, if you don't have the book, I believe there are free downloads online
Yes.
that you can find. But my first recommendation would be the context of the Quranic revelation in the history of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And our minister has stated, we can't see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad clearly, right, without that history of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So I hope that answers the question. And of course, reading Hadith, Muhammad Ali also has a manual of Hadith, a collection of Hadith. There's also a short compilation of Hadith called 40 Hadith. There's 40 Hadith and there's 40 Hadith Qudsi. I have them on my shelf over here. But inshallah, those are things, if we're coming back next Tuesday, or if we can drop some of that in the chat, we can, or if you're just taking quick notes, you can. So 40 Hadith, Nawawi.
Yeah,
Nawawi is the compiler of those 40 Hadith, the 40 Hadith and 40 Hadith Qudsi. And you also have the manual of Hadith that are a compilation of Muhammad Ali. And you have the history of Prophet Muhammad, Muhammad the Prophet, by Muhammad Ali as well. And it's thoughts. I'm sorry, what is the exact title, brother? Thoughts and
Living Thoughts of Prophet Muhammad.
that's right. The living thoughts of Prophet Muhammad, also by Muhammad Ali. And there's a very good history of Prophet Muhammad, just simply called Muhammad. And that is, why is the author skipping me right now? It's a yellow cover.
Heikel.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hykal, Heikel. That is a very scholarly, I don't know, maybe that may be about 400 or 500 page book.
That's free for download as well if you don't want to
thorough.
buy it or order it off of Amazon.
But the main point is, if in terms of prioritization, focus on your Quranic reading, look up words that we may not fully have a strong grasp of their meaning, both in English and in Arabic, for those who have been able to access the Arabic. But, if you focus on the Quran itself first, then the context by studying the history of the Prophet, reading on the history of the Prophet, and of course, Hadith are helpful as well. But the context is going to be more in the history of the Prophet, and the additional sayings of Prophet Muhammad actually could lead you in a lot of different directions. I would prioritize thirdly the sayings of Prophet Muhammad. But it's always good if you have the capacity, the time, and are ready to really take the study. And of course, context is very important. If you also want to read, this is a very, very good time to read self-improvement basis
definitely.
of community development. I mean, like, I don't think there's a khutbah that I go into without nursing on the study guides. We have to make sure that we maintain a lens of present tense, okay, as we read, of the Muhammad of the Quran, right? I am the Jesus of the Bible and the Muhammad of the Quran states, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that these are prophetic figures that are established in the last days by the permission of Allah God.
Yes, sir. So, Brother Imam, okay, I have it. I just got a text message, and I just want to, I guess it's good for the video for us to deal with the question. There have been a lot of things that have been attributed to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as saying. Okay.
As what? I'm sorry.
As sayings.
Oh,
But what we have to do in the modern time is not that he may not have said a thing, but because of the world that we live in, we have to be very mindful when we consistently say things and we may not have a tangible source of him saying it. It can be made mischief by our enemies. Okay. So I know culturally when I joined the Nation of Islam, we didn't really use the term Fajr prayer. We used to say 5 o'clock prayer, 5 a.m. prayer, right? And so the question, Imam, is because we were taught to make the Fajr prayer at 5 a.m. And not specifically now due to the timing, different time zones. How do we reconcile that in our growth and in our development? What I'm going to do for Brother Imam is first now I'm going to do archive work for you.
yeah.
I know that our language was
here
that.
too.
Yeah, I'm getting ready. I got it right. I pulled it up. And
It's right here.
the reality is I've never seen it written like that in terms of denoting that Fajr was 5 a.m. And the only reason I'm saying that is because in this beautiful prayer book, Brother Imam, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says the exact times.
Exactly. Right.
Could you read that? I mean, if you want, I have it here, but would you like to read?
I was pulling it up. It's under right here in Muslim Daily Prayers.
Yes.
And I believe
It's underneath the times of prayer.
obligatory there. Daily prayers, right. Here we go. Page 9.
Yes.
Now, this is very important. It's all right here
It's
in
all
the
right
word.
there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And our brother's making a very good point. Sayings, right? Out of a need to teach, right? And even out of establishing a general statement that helps the believers to understand, right? That is an approximation of the time, and generally, like right now, it's at 5:32, right? Or 5:30. It's still in that 5 o'clock zone right now, but that time changes. It's important here, page 9, it begins right after the mention of the time frames of each obligatory prayer. Reading of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It says in the Holy Quran, and look at the Quranic evidence that comes first. You know, it says in the Holy Quran Sharif, Surah 4, verse 103. Prayer indeed has been enjoined on the believers at fixed times. Okay. In other words, it is essential that each prayer be performed at the, then it's in italics to bring emphasis to this word, at the appointed hour.
That's right.
The exact time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad continues, for each prayer will, of course, differ from coast to coast, especially when, quote, daylight savings time, end quote, is in force. To be sure of the precise hours, therefore, consult your temple minister. Okay, so here's the consultation from your temple minister, brother, student Imam ABDUL SALAAM.
Yeah.
He's letting us know that there, as we shared, there's a prayer schedule. That is the fixed time. And I've heard us try to problematize this. Well, if it's fixed time, it's 5 o'clock, brother. And it's 5 o'clock all year, right? No. Notice the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaks of the daylight savings time.
That's right.
It may be 5 o'clock, but the sun is going to be somewhere else. So these prayers are named after fixed times as it relates to the position of the sun. That's what's fixed, not the time as in the clock. Okay, what's fixed is this beautiful illuminating body called the sun, which is a star, right? Among stars. So the stars are fixed, right? These are in the constellation. So you have the dawn or early morning prayer, the early afternoon prayer, the late afternoon, the sunset or evening, and the late evening or nightfall prayer. So all of these times vary depending on your time zone, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad states here, differ from coast to coast, especially when daylight savings time is in. So, tell that to your to your employer, right? If you say, I gotta be there, if your employer says, I be here at sunrise, okay, that's a fixed time, sunrise. But daylight savings comes in, right? And your employer says, be here at 7 o'clock. That the way the sun looks in the sky, right? I think the sun rises around 7:20 something right now, right?
Yeah. Seven.
Or 7 o'clock, so around 7 o'clock, 6:50 right here. The shuruk, that is the sunrise, right? So if you go by daylight savings, that was an hour earlier, just the last week, right? So fall back, spring forward. So sunrise, and we can go into these details. See, this is very, very detailed, but if we really just follow what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has written, we'll see that. So 5 o'clock, just a week ago, the sun was in a different place because of daylight savings time. You had a different reality. So, this is something that the enemy plays even with time like this. I mean, there was a bill recently that got overturned where they were going to do away with daylight savings time altogether, because it was a cultural agricultural reality for making sure that the days were extended so that you have more time to work in the fields. So I hope that answers the question. I'm beginning to confuse it. But please turn to page 9 of Muslim Daily Prayers. The 5 o'clock prayer, that is just a general statement, not an exact time. The exact time is based on the name of the prayer, as our brother mentioned. You have Fajr, which is dawn, right? That is a time. So if you want to know the prescribed time, the prescribed time is in the name itself of the prayer. Okay, the time moves about.
Yes.
I
Thank
hope
you.
that's helpful.
No, that's helpful. I do see I'm confused. Our sister said I'm confused, and anybody else that's confused, let me just, it's not confusing. You may be missing parts. The point is, before we had all of these devices and computers to websites to look up the calculated exact timings, then we had to come to an approximation in those days. But even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was telling us in the small prayer book that the times are fixed according to the adjustments that Allah created with the timing of his earth, his sun, his moon, his stars, and all of those things. Okay, so let's come down to earth. All of us got a cell phone. Download a prayer app. Go to islamicfinder.com and put in your zip code. It will tell you exactly the block you live on, what time the prayer times come. That's how. But if you notice, each day you're either gaining or losing. Not because of our clock, but because of the planet and its orientation to the sun, okay? So, yeah, you can get Muslim Pro. I have the Adhan app, ATHAN. Use these apps and they will give you the exact time for exactly where you live at, your locale, your city, your state, okay? I hope that answers our question. Okay. So with that, Brother Imam, if you will allow us, I wanted Brother Student Minister Abdul Alim to come on, and because as always, and we're trying to get back to some normalcy in many of our locales where we've had programming, in-person programming over the years in Baltimore, Mosque number 6 and Mosque number 45 and other various mosques under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we have had to use the technology of Zoom, which has allowed Student National Imam and all of us to reach more of our beloved brothers and sisters in your specific locales outside of where we are. So we want our brother Abdul Alim Ansari Muhammad to give us the good news of the programming that will be emanating from Muhammad Mosque 45, that all of us are invited into, and you will get all of the links like you do for these programs or Ramadan Readiness on your Saturdays. We have special programming this coming Saturday. Ramadan Saturday will start with our beautiful young brothers and sisters from the Master's Call that I was blessed to be on, Sister Anissa and Brother Demetrius and the crew. They will be hosting Ramadan Saturday on our platform, but Brother Minister is going to tell us about how you'll be able to log in and be a part of the Saturday programming emanating from Mosque number 45. I close with this. We're one. So we're doing this to invite you in, even if we're local. We want to invite the family in to our Ramadan programming around the country. So Brother Student Minister Abdul Alim, go right ahead, my brother.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent job, dear brothers. Praise be to Allah. Thoroughly enjoyed it. You can see I'm here at the mosque now as we're preparing for the program that you're talking about. So inshallah, as our beloved student Imam, first of all, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I humbly apologize. So as we were talking about the attributes, so inshallah, the 99, the 1 in 30 days, where we'll be going over the 99 attributes, 3 to 4 attributes a day, and we have people from all over the country that will be coming on at 5 p.m. Central to roughly about 5:30, and for some we'll go up until about 6, but mainly to go until about 5:30. And it's important because as you all were talking, we were talking about the message of the black man, and Brother Imam brought up the point that the first 30 pages is Allah is God, Allah is God. And then right after that, the next pages are the knowledge of self. And so when I saw that, and this is our second season, right? So when I saw that, I said, wow. And then we came across a hadith about our beloved prophet, peace be upon him, where he said, cultivate within yourselves the attributes of
That's
Allah. And then the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan tweeted, when you have an attribute of God, you should strive for degrees of excellence in that attribute, right? So it just made me think about those first 60 pages of Message to the Black Man. The first 30 pages, Allah is God. And the second page, after that, the 30 pages after that is the knowledge of self. So for the next 30 days, starting on Thursday, inshallah, we'll be going over the 99 attributes. Starting first with Allah, and then after that, we will go further on and having individuals to come on. But you can, and inshallah, the flyer will go out tonight, so you all can see the times along with the Zoom information as well.
All praise is due to Allah. So what's going to happen, dear family, is we'll have that flyer. We're going to send it out in the respective email list that you're on. I know there are various email lists. If somebody could just put in the chat for me, you can email us at iscbaltimore@gmail.com, iscbaltimore@gmail.com, and all of our programming that we're doing will be sent through there. So we're going to send out everything that student minister Abdul Alim and the believers under our regional minister, student minister Abdul Halim, are doing down there, along with the master's call staff are going to have program. It's going to be a lot for us to plug into, dear family, and don't miss out. And that's the beauty of what we have going on in this month. I'm pretty sure Imam, National Imam, and myself, we will be popping up via IG Live during the month, along with Abdul Alim and others, to check to see what's going on. Let's have a little halakha,
Yes,
if
sir.
you will,
Yes,
to
sir.
see how we're progressing, how we're going along, coming along in the month. We're here to serve you, and we thank you. But do be aware that this is not 2020, and this is not 2021. And it's not 2022, it's 2023, and we're trying to get back to activities in person during Ramadan as well. So, yeah.
If I may, just on that point, the Fajr Fridays that we received with the call out from student National Supreme Captain, right? Those will also be made available via video streaming. I'm not sure the technical way they'll be made available yet, but we will also have those with the brothers in the morning that will be made available. So as brother student Imam Abdul Salam is saying, with all of these different means, we are going to have quite a bit of content available for all, praise be to Allah. And not just content that we're studying, but content that allows us to actually use these social media platforms, right, these platforms that were designed to keep us connected when we were separated, but we can be even more connected by sharing experiences, right? So this is the idea, this is the spirit, is that we can be even more connected, more deeply connected by sharing the experiences that we're sharing together in our locales during the holy month of Ramadan. So that was what I just wanted to make sure that we are aware of, that inshallah, when we begin this coming Friday, to look out for a link or a post that will connect you to your National Center Fajr prayer congregation in Chicago. But again, make sure you're praying in your time zone, the proper time, okay? It will be on Central Time, so and that's the only thing that may lead to the confusion, is that it's tomorrow somewhere else right now. We can get confused about it if we want to, but that's just the reality of the fact that time is relative. So praise be to Allah.
And Imam, Islam is simple now.
Yes,
If
sir.
it's emanating from the central time zone at 5 a.m., let's just say it's 6 a.m. here in the Eastern time zone, and Fajr would have come in, but you just pray the extra two. There's a blessing in
That's
the
right.
way you had at the time.
That's right.
Pray your Fajr at your prescribed time, but catch the webcast and pray an extra two, especially if it's before.
That's right.
So it's simple. Allah loves those who do more.
Praise be to Allah. Now, a question came up about maintaining our fast every other day during the holy month of Ramadan. Yes, you can maintain your fast every other day during the holy month of Ramadan. We actually answered that last week in a statement from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It is in How to Eat to Live, and you can refer to lessons in is it in the chat now? It is. Okay. There's the link, the title of this article. Can you please put the title of it with the link? Okay. Good. The main point here is that yes, you can maintain and should maintain your every other day fast. That question comes up in Lessons in Ramadan Fasting and the interview with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And also it comes up in How to Eat to Live as well. So what you do is there's a difference, and I love the language our brother has given us. There's a wet fast and a dry fast, right? The fact that our every other day fast of How to Eat to Live is wet, meaning we can drink water or coffee, or we can take in liquids, right? What you do is on your eat day, right? You break your fast, you eat some food on your eat day, but on your no eat day, when you're on your every other day, drink your water at Fajr time. Right, I'm sorry, before Fajr time. Let's be very precise.
Yeah,
Before Fajr time. And then drink your water or coffee after Maghrib time. That's it. Okay. And but don't eat anymore. That's your no eat day, if that makes sense. All right. And then on your eat day, all right, you have some food after Maghrib time for iftar. But do not drink or take in anything during the daylight hours, but you can maintain your fast every other day. I hope that makes sense. Your wet fast every other day. I hope that's making sense. Does that answer your question? Please give me a thumbs up or something. Let me know that made sense. And we gave you 2 resources to study from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Lots
The
of
only
questions.
thing that's suspended is the national fast or the unity fast.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Please, we can't stress from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the 3-day unity fast at the beginning, first weekend of every month is suspended during Ramadan.
Yes.
Okay. So in April, the first full weekend in April, we do not take up the 3-day wet fast. We just continue to fast as we're instructed from sun up to sundown in the month of Ramadan. Okay.
That's right, Sister Danica. That's correct. Just basically no food, just a beverage before Fajr prayer. Right. And after Maghrib, no food, just a beverage for your no eat day. Okay. Yeah. And very important point is don't start doing that during Ramadan. That's important. Don't start your every other day, and start, trying to pick up something on top of the something, right? During Ramadan. No. That's if you're already doing your every other day. Okay. That's very important. Don't if you're in the pattern already of every other day, don't give that up. But don't start a new pattern on top of the fast of Ramadan with the every other day. Okay.
Okay. I see a question to my sister. If you have medical reasoning such as diabetes or really serious high blood pressure where you're taking medication, please consult your physician.
That's right.
And that's to everyone else that's on here. If you're on prescription medication, please go to your doctor and get permission to see whether or not you could even fast, abstaining from food and water during daylight hours. We said this on part 1. We can't say it enough. Please do not use the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the minister, or any of us that are students of them and following under the direction of Minister Farrakhan that we told you, you have to do this when Allah desires ease for you. If you have to take your meds during the daylight hours with something to drink or something on your stomach, and they say that you cannot adjust that because it would be harmful to you, you are exempted from fasting like that. Okay.
That's
you can,
right,
but you do not, right. You do not lose any reward if you do the good acts, the good deeds, the neighborly needs. Keep your prayers up. Okay. And read your Quran. Allah understands your situation. It's only those of us that try to use every mental device possible, knowing that we're able to fast, and try and find a rationale around it or ease and through it. And as the Honorable, I'm quoting the minister, just say that you don't want to do it.
Right.
Just say that you don't want to do it. But I'm saying to the believers, We need this one. The war of Armageddon has begun.
Has begun.
We need to be on point, dear family. So let's be mindful. I will close with this about your diet, our diet though. If you want to get back to your one meal and eating properly, this is the month to reestablish it. It really is. Okay. So, at Maghrib, eat your one meal, eat our diet that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad prescribes for us. Make sure you're taking in plenty of water throughout the night so that you can stay hydrated. But this is a way for us to recalibrate everything. Get back to getting on your prayers, getting on your diet, getting your mind, your body, your house, everything in order as we move to get closer to Allah. That's right, deceptive intelligence. The minister already told us Satan gonna be talking. Shut him up and obey. It's better for us if we but knew. Okay.
I need to just throw this in there too. The wisdom behind the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan suspending the 3-day unity fast or the national fast must be followed. Okay. Some of us are picking up extremities, right? And we're fasting every day. So some of us are not only, so if you are fasting every day right now for a week, again, as our brother said, don't use these words. We're speaking plain language. If you are doing, 7-day fasts, 10-day fasts, suspend that. That you're getting in the extreme at this point. There are some that are involved in this. I'm gonna do 10-day fast and Ramadan together. I'm gonna do no. The clarity comes when our minister says the 3-day is suspended. Then anything over 3 days is also to be suspended. And you really want to check ourselves when we become overly oh man, our minister gave us a beautiful teaching on that when he would himself do 10-day fast, and I believe he said a 30-day fast at one point, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, instructed him, eat something, brother, that was going into the extreme.
He was on a 14-day fast when he visited the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he looked a little,
Run it down for us.
Yeah, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad ordered our beautiful mother Clara Muhammad to go make the minister some broth and get him some crackers so that he could break his fast. And he said to him, "Oh, brother, I used to do that." So he knows what that's like. He said, but you have to be careful because you can become too clean, and then you wouldn't want to be around any filth and be around our people in their filth. So we have to be careful in those situations. And who better to follow than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in that?
Excellent. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. I just wanted to make that point clear too. Let's not go into extremities and make that which is permissible prohibited, right? Okay, any other major questions that we may want to have fielded at this point? We are just past 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on the East Coast. I think most of our questions are somewhat being repeated. Maybe some were not on the call last week, but I would urge you to go back to last week if you did not, where our focus, if you did not see it or view it, our focus was 100% on fasting. and this call was the focus was for prayer. I know that our focus is fasting right now, so most of the questions have been about fasting. If you have questions on prayer, please make sure you can inbox or email me, preferably email. You can email me at nationalimam@noi.org. If Sister Joy, if you could drop that in the chat, that would be wonderful. nationalimam@noi.org. We can field questions on prayer. But again, we would urge you first to take the self-paced course at islamicsciences.noi.org. And if there are supplementary questions, again, you have the books that we've displayed for you as well, inshallah.
Yes. I'm going to do this real quick, Brother Imam. Let me drop this in the. This is part 1 from last week in the chat. Okay. So for those that need to view part 1, that's part 1 in the chat. And God willing, we're going to flip this around, part 2, so that we can get this up and out immediately. But we thank you, dear believers. Right now, we still have 510 participants on here, 11 o'clock East Coast time, but from all over the country and maybe all over the world. We maintained about 650 some odd participants throughout this course. We had a little over 1,200 registrants. We know that there was some other activity happening for the laborers tonight as well, that many of the laborers couldn't be on with us at the specific time. But we're happy and thankful that you take your time to spend with us, and we're happy to spend it with you. Let's just spread the word and learn how to share the knowledge that we have and give it to our brothers and sisters in a way that it will be ease for them. But we look forward throughout the month, again, popping up with some impromptu lives and things like that. And of course, working throughout the month to prepare an Eid edition for you so that you won't have to be confused about the Eid. And also, yes, Brother Demetrius, we're going to send out, I was blessed to be on the master call. Brother Abdul Aleem is going to be on, I believe, the podcast in the 7th regional podcast tomorrow or Thursday, I believe. So we will get all of these wherever we're appearing. We will make them available to you so that you can share them and watch them yourself. But trust me when I tell you, believers, the believers are certainly the beloved of Allah. Ain't no doubt about it. Y'all spirit coming through the chat has always helped us.
That's right.
Get through these, and that's why I'm in team no sleep mode right now.
Team no sleep. Team no sleep. It's time. It's time. And you know, unless there was something, I think this there was a question asked or posed that I think may be a good way to close out. If do
you see
it's a broader question on first-time fasters. What advice would we offer those who are fasting for the first time during Ramadan? Unless that's a broader question that we could close out with, unless you see something that's more detailed.
No, that's fine.
Praise be to Allah. I would give us the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He states in it was I believe we may have mentioned it last time, but I don't. We may not. I'll make sure we just repeat it here. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan states, for those observing their first Ramadan, now there are many, many, many new Muslims who are coming into the faith, and this is their first Ramadan. The first Ramadan during the hot months of the year are very, very difficult. But let me read to us from the Holy Quran, the 2nd chapter and the 183rd verse. It reads, "O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may guard against evil." What a wonderful thing, states the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when you go to the doctor, a doctor, and tell the doctor of some ailment that you have, and the doctor is wise enough to know from your words what to prescribe, that you may come back to health. Praise be to Allah. He continues in this section. Actually, it was stated a little earlier about the evil of the world that we are living in. But he states here that it is a challenge. So we drink no water during the daylight hours. We eat no food during the daylight hours, nor do we go into our wives during the daylight hours, nor do we argue, nor do we fight, nor do we do anything that will disturb our quest for closeness to Allah, and to do what this fast is designed by God to do. Give us the power to guard against evil. Now, this is a great trial, especially for the new believers. So our minister is painting the picture of the trial itself, right? But he has encouraged us in other contexts before. Start, try, fast a day, do as much as you can, right? And if you have difficulty, Allah does not desire difficulty, right? But keep trying. Allah will not kill us if we fail and have some weakness in 1 or 2 of the days. But that does not excuse us from trying. That is the primary focus that we should have. Each day, take it 1 step at a time, but never, never allow yourself the deceptive intelligence to say, oh, I can't do this.
That's right.
You have to make up your mind and say, I will do this. We won't die from it. Praise be to Allah. And I would like our brother, Abdul Salam, to add to that, because he's spoken to this point before. We wanted to really make this holy month of Ramadan a month in which we are encouraging us to get together, because there is support in the congregation, in the brotherhood and sisterhood. So join Team No Sleep. This is not a sect or a cult or a party.
That's right.
Okay, but it is an aspect of really what happens during the holy month of Ramadan. This is something actually we haven't brought up yet. There's not only a deprivation in food, drink, water, right? But there's a deprivation in sleep. You know, that's one of actually the most difficult things about the holy month of Ramadan is the sleep, and then the physical strength being diminished from lack of food, right? But we have a team in Team No Sleep, right? Where we're getting together in these late hours after we've done our reading, right? And we still are feeding from the word, high on the spirit of Allah. and sharing and motivating with one another, each other to complete the fast. And if we miss a day, we make it up in a like number of days after the month. But praise be to Allah. You really, if you have the ability, if you're very much strained in terms of the weight of it and you're fatigued, it's okay to take a power nap if you have the ability to. Don't get like our brothers and sisters in the East where they sleep all day. Okay, they go to sleep after Fajr time around 10 o'clock and wake up around 5 or 6, and the whole night gets flipped around. Their team is sleep all day and be awake all night eating, right? So they have the luxury of a culture that allows them to really flip the script totally and sleep 8, 9, 10 hours in the day and wake up, fast for a couple hours, and then eat again and hang out and drink tea and stuff like that all night. I'm not saying all of our brothers and sisters do that, but it is a major aspect of much of the culture in the East. But team no sleep. No, we're not sleeping because we're up during the day doing the work, and then we're up during the night either in prayer or reflecting or planning our activities for the month. Please, Brother Abdul Salam, I know you have that right there at your fingertip. I know I can always count on my brother to give those words, inspiring words from our minister.
Oh, absolutely. Again, the minister has blessed us over so many years, as inshallah, he will bless us on Thursday morning with this beautiful prayer line, as it was called, and now podcast, the Ummah Reflects. But in 2017, Ramadan 1438 in our Islamic calendar, but 2017, he closed that morning with these words, quote, "May Allah bless us during this month. May Allah build our will in this month to resist the temptation of evil. And may he bless us to resist the voice of Satan that will whisper into our minds, oh man, this is hard. I can't do it. Stop it right now and say, I can do it. I must do it. I will do it, and see what kind of servant you will be at the end of just the first day of that blessed fast. Just one day. And if you can do one, you can do two, right? May Allah bless each and every one of us during the holy month of Ramadan. That's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And those words go for right now as getting your mind prepared. And that's really a good way for us to end, because you have to have it in your mind that you're going to do it. And if I could, dear Imam, I saw it, because this is very important for those that may encounter people that try to interpret things for you that might be a little out of context. And it's on fasting. Oh, I had it right here, I believe. On the Hadith Qudsi, when Allah is telling us that fasting is his.
While you're finding that, I'm going to answer this question real quick. When we mentioned a nap, our sister's asking, will a nap or sleep break our wudu? The answer is yes. Anytime we lose consciousness, our ablution is broken. Just refresh your wudu. And again, we have a beautiful, beautiful explanation on the meaning of wudu and how it helps us to stay in the frame of mind of purification by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Message to the Black Man. And that appears on page 148, 148 of Message to the Black Man, the explanation of wudu, okay, or the ablution. So yes, and one of the ways our wudu is broken or must be refreshed is if we go to sleep or are unconscious, right? Thank you for that question, man.
Yes. So in a Hadith Qudsi, and this is letting us know that these are the words of Allah to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but are not contained in the Quran. It's not a part of the Quran. But Allah says, according to the Prophet, peace and prayers be upon him, fasting is mine.
Go ahead.
And it is I who give reward for it. A man, or a man is general, man and woman, gives up his sexual passion, his food, and his drink for my sake. Fasting is like a shield. And he who fasts has two joys, a joy when he breaks his fast and a joy when he meets his Lord. The change in the breath of the mouth of him who fasts is better in Allah's estimation than the smell of musk. We put this hadith up in session 1. That some translations or transmissions say that the breath of the faster is more pleasing to Allah than the fine scent of musk, not must, musk. Okay. So though we may feel that when we're fasting and the toxins are coming out, that it's offensive to Allah, it's better than musk because we're doing it for him. And so I say that to say, let no one define your Ramadan, for the command comes from Allah himself. And it is given to us through the guidance of Muhammad, the Prophet, peace and prayers be upon him, and reestablished for our community here in the West by the contemporary Muhammads, Master Fard Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is also Muhammad too. So that's it for me, Brother Imam. Is there anything else?
Yes, I see that we have in the Q&A section more questions that I was catching the ones in the chat, okay? But I see in the Q&A some of us were diligently following, and they are actually some very good questions here. I don't know that we have the time tonight. So I see one is I work 10-hour shifts with construction as an electrician, 5 to 6 days a week, not trying to find excuses to fast, or maybe it means not to fast, but do you have any suggestions or anyone that has asked the same question? So these are very pointed ones that are dealing with the fast. I saw that we were getting others in the chat, but a little distracted by the chat and didn't see the Q&A section. Another question, when is the actual date? We answered that one. Sister Jocelyn, if we know beforehand that we will not be able to make prayer in the prescribed time, this is one on prayer, is it best to pray the prayer early or make up the prayer?
Very good question. Very
good question. So quickly on that, we can combine prayers if we know that we may miss one. All right. The prayers that are able to be combined or joined are the Dhuhr and Asr prayer, either at Dhuhr or either at Asr. Then you have the Maghrib and the Isha prayer. Those can also be combined. If you are traveling, if you think that you will miss a prayer. So combining them means that you make your intention first for the prayer that is in, and you perform that prayer. Once you complete that prayer by making your taslim or your salams, you then make your intention for the next prayer that you are combining at a specific prayer time, and then make that full prayer. What we want to do is, maybe begin to give examples of these and go in more detail. But I hope that helps to answer. If you want to elaborate on that, Brother Imam, you please do. But the main idea is that the answer is yes, but do not, you're combining them. So you're making one earlier or later, but you're making them at a specific time, and that's the Dhuhr and Asr, and the Maghrib and the Isha prayer.
Isha. Yes, sir. And I think you answered it, but I do know sometimes the question is being asked that can I pray an obligatory prayer before the time that it comes in? And the answer is in the case of Fajr prayer, right?
No, yeah,
You cannot advance the Fajr prayer before the time
that's
that
right.
it actually comes in. Could you pray 2 rak'ah before Fajr prayer? You could, and it's considered extra prayer or voluntary prayer, or part of what we call tahajjud, and we'll talk about that in terms of praying cycles of 2 during the night. Imam addressed the combining of prayers, but even to combine Dhuhr and Asr, one of the prayers has to come in.
Right.
One of them has to be in already for the combination to take place. So you have to wait for the time of one to come in, as well as with the Maghrib and the Isha prayer. So I think, Imam, we definitely need to probably do a session on more in depth, because I see real quick question. I will be traveling over the weekend. Should I suspend my fast until I return to my location? Well, that's a broad question, but I'll leave it like this. You do have an exemption, but it's up to you whether or not you want to take it, meaning if the traveling does not create a hardship on you and you desire to keep your fast, then you can keep your fast. Okay. If you're going to say, for instance, I'm traveling this weekend as well. And if it created a hardship that I traveled during the day and I got off the plane, technically I could use the exemption to maybe drink some water. But if I'm going to be there for a few days, I should pick the fast up the following morning.
That's right.
And the reason why I'm saying this, you have to know yourself in terms of your willpower and your own discipline habit, because I'll give you a true life story. One Ramadan, I actually went with a delegation to Jamaica as Ramadan was coming in, as we were traveling out of the country. So we asked the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, how should we handle that? And he gave us exactly what the exemption is according to Allah and the tradition, that our Ramadan technically would begin when we get back, because the fast came in at a time that we were traveling and we had to travel distance, right? And so in that, we came back, and then but keep in mind, we got to make those days up. that was there, so any days that you break or have the exemption to break, we should make them up in the like number of other days. But at that time in my development, to throw me off 1 or 2 days created a chain effect. And I'm just being very honest, and it wasn't a good Ramadan for me. And I learned from that, because the modality was, sometimes when we say, well, I got the exemption, so it was like, good, I ain't got to do it. I wasn't mature yet to know that, okay, the exemption is giving me something for my benefit, not to get away from the fast, the idea and the real reasoning for the fast. So you don't want to lose that in the exemption. I guess that's if that makes sense to you. So you have to know. Me traveling to Washington, D.C. is not
It's just 40 miles.
You're not that you are, but I'm just saying no. But if you got to travel across the country through time zones and
or
depending
abroad,
or abroad, yes, but just know and state your attention that you will make those days up, and may Allah guide you and protect you and preserve you and fulfill what it is that you want to do that's pleasing to your Lord. That's where I would leave it.
And the main thing is just to echo that point our brother made, is once you are done traveling and arrive where you are and you've been there for a few days and you're there, you're not taking a vacation from fasting, right? It literally is the traveling, not once you are there and you are, now stably in place. You pick up fasting once you are present at your location. So if you've planned a vacation, right, and it fell during Ramadan, and you're saying, okay, my whole vacation time is the travel period. No, not that. Okay. The time that you're on the plane and the time it takes to you to arrive where you are and, get settled and so forth, that's the actual traveling part, not the whole vacation. All right.
And if any of you that are in that, we're going to make dua for you.
That's right. That's right. So
make dua for you. Yes. All praises due to Allah. What I did, Brother Imam, is I have a copy of the questions that are in the question box.
Yes. Thank you, because I don't want to keep us too late.
Yeah. I will share them with you and we can kind of comb through. A lot of them we did answer, especially with the reading of the Quran along with Hadith and these other questions. I think this is a good one to close on. Can you expound on the importance of khushu', serenity of the heart in the Salah during the month of Ramadan, and basically definitely during Ramadan, but in general, finding that serenity and making sure that we have a sense of serenity in the prayer, khushu'.
Yes, sir. Khushu' is exactly what our brother mentioned. It is the idea of serenity. So you have khushu' and you have sakina, right? Khushu' is a deep concentration, a deep focus, and it literally means to crush, right? Or flatten. Khushu'. So that khushu' is I'm in prayer and my toe might itch.
Right.
I'm not going to bend down and scratch my toe. Okay. I'm focused on my prayer. Some keys may drop in the room. That's not going to get my attention. I'm going to turn and look. I'm focused on the movement. I'm not distracted. Khushu', deep concentration. And this word to crush means you're literally destroying all things that would break your concentration. The serenity is the sakina. Sakina, your heart, your mind should not feel under duress, under deep emotional distraction that would take you away from your mindfulness of prayer, right? So these are two important elements of preparation of mind and heart for the Salah. So these also, are you checking your watch, during prayer time, or things actually taking your attention away from the focus of prayer. So this is the meaning of khushu'. There was another part of that question. So that is the meaning of it. Was the question just the importance of khushu'?
Yes, yes, the importance of it.
Okay, very, very important. There is a hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that says Allah takes or accepts the parts of the prayer that we are most sincere in. Wow. So
Check
do we
that out.
want, yeah, check that out. Do we want a Swiss cheese reward? You know, the you've got a slice of cheese, it represents your prayer with a bunch of holes in it. You know, Allah takes the parts of the prayer that we are most sincere in. So the tranquility of heart and mind, and in sakina, and then the concentration and focus on our movement and position, and really, again, this word crushing, it's wonderful because it's most descriptive, that you're just crushing or flattening all of the other distractions that may come and take your mind away from, and I'm going to use the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from the study of the answer to our prayers. Oh, Allah, that quote is so profound to me. So you should be studying the answer to your prayers in deep concentration. You know, guide us on the straight way, right? The right path. Sirat al-Mustaqim. And then, you know, again, once we learn some of the Arabic, mustaqim is straight or smooth path, and it is a upright path, right? It's a vertical path, not a horizontal path. So even just meditating on those words, guide us on the right path, the straight path, the smooth vertical path, right? What is it? Now you're putting in context in your life. What is it that has me on a horizontal path? What are those things that are rocky and not smooth in my journey right now? This is where our concentration should be. And, you know, is it something that's related to the fact that my right hand has not taken complete control over my lower desires? My righteousness has not taken control over. So we're concentrating even on the, why are my hands clasped over my solar plexus, over my stomach that represents my hungers and desires. So this is khushu', you know, where even a fly is flying around, can go ahead right on their forehead and you're not bothered by it, right? So, and I'll close this on this point. Some in the history in the Prophet, there's some narration that some of one in particular, an incident that occurred during wartime, which was most of the time of that history, the companions were praying, and one of the companions was struck by a arrow in prayer, and he completed the prayer with the arrow in the leg or a part of his body. I'm not sure what part of the body, but was struck by an arrow and completed the prayer. And that as soon as he completed the prayer, he literally passed out. So do we have that level of khushu' where we could literally take an injury, right? And complete the prayer? Of course, we should be vigilant about our safety, right? Our lives are valuable to Allah. So don't stay in dangerous circumstances. Let's not look at it in this way, but something happened and one of the companions were shot by an arrow and completed the prayer. And lastly, some of the companions would actually in righteous competition. I believe it was Abu Bakr and one of the other companions stated, whoever completes their salah and their mind does not drift to something, one would give the other their finest camel, so if you got a Mercedes, and my brother's got a Range Rover over here, and we say, hey, in this prayer, righteous competition, Chief, are you going to keep your mind on the words of Allah? Let's see at the end of the prayer, and they trust each other that deeply, right? So at the end of the prayer, it was one of the companions who said, well, how did you fare? He said, just before I was to make my taslim, I thought, I'm about to win that camel. I'm about to win that Mercedes. and I lost it. But I was almost to the end. I almost made it. And then I believe it was Abu Bakr that won that righteous competition between the companions. So that's part of the khushu' as well. And again, I think that emphasizes the need to maintain team, to maintain righteous competition in our development, and the depth of honesty as well, where only they knew what was on their minds and could share with one another. Praise be to Allah. I hope that gives us some context of sakina, tranquility, right? And khushu', concentration. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. So brothers and sisters, we thank you. We're going to get to the rest of those questions throughout the month. And keep in mind, when Imam put on the screen the Ramadan book that is up for pre-order, these are based off of many questions and many sessions that we've gone through over the years, and the recurrence of certain questions, and really designing it in a way that those questions are answered for you in the book, and you won't have to, you'll have a sourcing now to go to get those basic questions and many other questions answered. So we appreciate everybody that rode with us tonight. I'll just ask Brother Imam, is there anything that you would like to convey or give to us just as a closing before we close with prayer?
No, praise be to Allah. I won't keep us any longer. As our brother mentioned, we do and we'll make, if you check our social media, we've posted the pre-order for the book. There are, I think every question almost nearly is answered in that text that came up this evening, and we can't wait to complete the final edit of it and get it to you as soon as possible. Again, it'll be available through both ebook and through a physical text, so that next time, inshallah, that we have these sessions, we can say turn to page such and such.
That's right.
Turn to page such and such, and we can praise be to Allah, be able to have our questions thoroughly before us as a study. And just go to the website, islamicsciences.noi.org. It's available now there for pre-order. But if I were to leave us on anything, it would be this, which we actually shared on Sunday in announcing the holy month of Ramadan. We are at war. The war of Armageddon has begun. There's a reason our beloved Student Supreme Captain Mustafa Farrakhan has called the FOI to gather at Fajr prayer on Fridays. Prayer is a weapon. It is the weapon of the righteous. We do not carry so much as a penknife, but we fight with the force of Allah. We fight in the reform of self, the purification of self. The more we purify self, the less we become not only victim to our enemy, right? But the less we become a weakness in the ranks of the believers. So it is time for us to sharpen our spirit, spiritually sharpen ourselves.
That's right.
But we have to be knowledgeable. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan instructed me to, every time we have an opportunity, encourage the believers to study the word of Allah and the word of the messenger. Right there. These are our weapons. Read, Iqra. That is the first revelation that came, that we commemorate in the whole of the book during the holy month of Ramadan through fasting and prayer, right? So read. Let this holy month be a time of study. I love that the question came up, what additionally can we read and study on top of our daily readings? Let's strive to become more knowledgeable. And knowledge is not limited to the Holy Quran in that way. Every creation is a revelation and representation of the mind of God himself. We are at war. So how do we defend ourselves? It is through knowledge. It is through understanding. We are embarking on a time in which we have to now take the offense. There was something very different about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's message this last Savior's Day. The war of Armageddon has begun. He demonstrated the pattern by which we should be moving. The minister made a very important statement. He said, we've made our move. Wow. Right. Have we gone back to study that message to see what that move is that we made? At the call and instruction and demonstration of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? What is the content of our minister's message? Are we able to recite, respond, to spread and teach that which he delivered to us from the scriptural advantage that he gave us? All praise is due to Allah. It is the time in which we must begin to represent our faith, more than faith, but we must be convicted and we must have knowledge of our religion, knowledge of our faith. And that is only represented if we are able to demonstrate what we know. And that is primarily in the righteous character, the conviction that we have in bearing of witness to who and what we have in our midst in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in these life-giving teachings. So let us be ready to defend, put some respect on the name of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let us not allow any to disrespect what we have sacrificed for to establish. The enemy is intent to kill the messenger and the message. Not on our watch. Let us,
That's right.
brothers and sisters, be thankful and be in the mode of picking up what Allah is teaching us in this holy month. As he says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that Allah is teaching us taqwa, that righteous garment that we must have, that as it is described in the scriptures of the Bible, put on the whole armor, right? The whole armor of truth. So let us, brothers and sisters, build our will and be on the forefront and be among the foremost in our practice, in our knowledge, and in our spirit of Islam as we begin to continue to advance in this time of war. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. And those that hung in there, praise be to Allah. We pray that this was beneficial to you and your families. And Allah willing, we will see you again soon.
Yes, all praise is due to Allah.
Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Imam, thank you to our staff. Sister Joy, thank you so much. Of course, behind the scenes, Sister Nadira and Brother Ali tonight, helping on the tech side with Brother Imam. And of course, our brother student minister, Abdul Alim Ansari Muhammad from Houston, Texas, for being on with us. And of course, without you, dear believers, none of it would have been possible. So thank you so much. And we're looking forward once again to coming to you. But don't forget, inshallah, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday morning, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will address us on the first day of Ramadan, inshallah. So we don't want to miss that. And we ask that Allah protect and preserve us all. And get joyful tomorrow evening at Maghrib time, because you can send out
Ameen.
Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem, and all the salutations that come within welcoming our blessed and holy month of Ramadan. Okay, so we'll close tonight. Brother Imam, could you close us with a dua?
Yes, sir. Attention prayer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. Ameen. Praise be to Allah, dear believers. We greet you again as we came with the greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. May Allah bless you all. Assalamu alaikum. Praise be to Allah. All right. Thank you, brothers. All right, Brother Imam. Assalamu alaikum.